Hello, it's time to play some dominoes. Let's hope I make less of a mess of this than I did yesterday. We'll start with the easy pips. Let's start solving. Okay, so we have a zero, we have a double zero, so either the double zero goes here or we have a zero with a one pointing down. I don't know which I think it is just yet. We need a 4 in the 4, and that's the only, we only have one possibility there. Oh, here, we only have one possibility of 6, so this one we can actually put in for sure. And that means the 5 needs a 2, which means the 4 is not pointing into the 5, so the 4 is pointing up. There we go, which means the 2 must be here, which means we need a 1 coming out of the 2. Oh, and we need this 3 here, which must go across, because otherwise it'll ruin our 0, which means we do have the double 0 in the 0. And finally, the last domino must go there, and that was fine. Okay. That was took a little longer than an ordinary easy to get going. Hopefully that doesn't bode too poorly for the medium and hard. Let's find out. Let's start solving medium. Oh, 42. Okay, so the 42 must be nothing but 6s. It must be 7 6s. How many 6s do we have? We have 8. Okay, so we have a slight bit of wiggle room in terms of our 6s, which is unfortunate. Better to have no wiggle room at all. We have an equivalence region up there, which can't use 6s because that'll take, and we wouldn't have enough 6s for our 42. So it could be double 5 or double 2. Oh, actually, it can't be the double 2 because the double 2 is the only way to make that 4. So the double 5 goes up here. Okay, that's helpful. And the 0 is forced as well. I mean, that was always forced. Okay, so there's something. Less than 2 is a 1. The 1 can't go this way because that would block off our 6, so it goes either across or down. I might just put it in there just to earmark it, just to get it out of the way. I wish I could rearrange the dominoes down below, but we can't. Okay. Oh, you know what's interesting about this, actually? The only place so we have that extra 6. What's interesting is it actually is forced. It needs to go over here because all of these other regions, none of them can be 6 or greater. Well, 6 or greater. None of them can be 6. They're all less than 6 or even an even lower number than that. So the 6 must go here, but we can't waste any more 6s, so it must point into the 42. So now we have a less than 3 pointing into the 42, which can only be the 2. So that's forced as well. So we can actually kind of move up our less thans. So the next lowest less than is less than 4, which must be a 3. So the 3 points into that region. Then the less than 5 must be a 4, which points into that region. The less than 6 must be a 5, which points into that region. And there we go. Okay, so that was all forced once we got it kicked off. Now, this is what I'm dreading today because of my performance recently. Let's try this hard puzzle and see how it goes. Okay. We have a 3-sized 0 region. Okay, so that's forced actually. It's almost forced. This double must go here or here. We don't actually know which just yet. There might be a reason it needs to be the case, but we'll come back to that. This 18 needs 3 6s. We have 5 6s. Okay, so that's not very useful just yet. And the 10 will be, well, the 10 could be double 5. Could it be 2 5s pointing out 2 6s, or a 6 and a 4? Could it be double 6 and then a 4 6? Do we have a 4 6? We don't have a 4 6. So it's either, oh no, we don't have 5 6 either. I think that means it needs to be double 5. Is that right? Am I missing a possibility there? So I'm just trying to think whether it can be pointing out into the 18, but I don't think it can be because it would need to be double 5, which would mean we'd need 2 5 6s, which we don't have, or it would have to be 6 4. We could do the double 6 bit, but then we'd need a 4 in the 10 with a 6 in the 18, and I don't think we have that. I'm just being very careful because I keep having oversights recently, but I think this needs to be double 5. Okay, that's helpful. We do have a 1, 6. We could be pointing up from the 1 to the 18. If we're not doing that, we'd need a 1 pointing into the 4, which we don't have. So the 1 cannot point into the 4, which means the 1 must point into the 18. Okay, that's helpful to see. Okay, so we do have a double 6, or if we don't have a double 6, actually we do need a double 6, because otherwise they'd both need to be pointing out, and we'd need a 6 pointing into the 1, which we don't have. Again, I'm so nervous about making these declarations, but it feels like I'm being logical each time. So I could be overseeing something, but I believe what I've said so far makes logical sense. Okay, now what about this equivalence region up here? Could it be horizontal? It could with our double 4, which would still leave us a 4, 5 if we wanted to use the 4 down there, or a 4, 3 actually. So it could be that. Could be something else pointing down. If it were pointing down, we'd need 2 of the same things pointing into 1s and 5s. So could it be 3 pointing down to 1? I don't think so, because then we wouldn't have a 3, 6. Could it be a 2 pointing down into 1? Yes, it could be. It could be a 2 pointing into the 1 and a 2 pointing into the 5. It could be that. Oh, and it's worth bearing in mind we also need 2 individual cases of 3. I don't think that tells us anything right this second. Okay, let's see. What else are we doing here? Oh, we also have a 5-sized inequivalence region. I haven't really thought about that. So we need 5 different pips. We currently do have all 6 pip counts represented. So that in and of itself is not necessarily telling us anything. Okay. I wonder if I need to go back to thinking about this 0 region down here. If I put the blank domino there, does that do anything? Oh, I guess, no, never mind. Yeah, we do have exactly 3 zeros. So if this goes here, we can't have, we can never have anything going horizontally from the 4 to the 0. I guess that means it doesn't really necessarily. So I guess what that is saying is, yeah, we can't have this, is what that's saying. We would have known that for a long time. So this goes in that way. The 4 can never point into the 0. That should have been obvious to me. So the question then is, does the 0 point into the 2? And no, it cannot. And it also can't point into the 4. So this has actually been forced for quite a while, I think. I just didn't really pay attention to it. So the 2 now, yeah, we don't know very much other than it can't. We couldn't have a 2, 6 domino, but we don't have one of those anyway. So that in and of itself doesn't mean much. Okay. What do we have? We have a 2, a 2, 1 or a 2, 5. So either a 2 or a 5 will be represented in this inequivalence region, but right now that doesn't seem hugely fascinating. But what it does tell us is that this greater than 4 and 3 must be bridged. So we need a 3 with a greater than 4, which can only be a 6, actually, because our other options are not greater than 3. So that goes that way. That's helpful. And then what? With a less than 4 that's either pointing into the inequivalence region, which that's not very helpful, or we have a less than 4 pointing into a 3, which we could achieve with a 3, 1. Oh, no, never mind. I was going to say that takes up the 1 we need over here, but we still have a 1 remaining. Okay, we also need a 5. I forget, did we say the 5 could or couldn't point up into the equivalence, to the equals? It could, because the 5 goes into we could have a 5, 2, and then we could have a 2 pointing down into the 1. That would work. The 5 cannot point over into the 1. Could the 5 point to the 3? No, it cannot. So the only remaining question is, can the 5 point down into the inequivalence region? And unfortunately, again, that's kind of annoying because that's not very constrained. If that were there, we would need double 4 in the equivalence region up top. And then we'd need the 1, 3 pointing down, because we couldn't have the 1, 2 pointing down. And then, actually, that doesn't work, because then the 3 region over to the left of this would have a 3, would need, the only remaining domino it would have would be the 3, 4 pointing down, which would break that. So yeah, actually the 5, 2 can't point down there. But what about the 5, 4? Now I can't even remember what it was I was investigating. That's horrible. Sorry. This is the kind of thing that must infuriate people watching this. So if we had 5, 4 pointing down, we'd have still double 4 up there. Then this feels less constrained, actually. Then we'd have 3, 1 over to the left and 1, 2 pointing down. Yeah, that's not really a big deal. I'm not sure how to think about this exactly. Once again, I really wish I could arrange these around so I could start kind of ticking off the different options we have, or the different commitments we have in terms of pips that must go in certain places. Okay, well, I guess we no longer have, let's see, how many different pip counts do we have remaining to put into the inequivalence? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, we still have 1 to 5 left, so we still have quite a lot of optionality there. Yeah, I'm sure there's a good way to be thinking about this at this point. Let's see. One, two, two, 5. That works. Double 4. We then have 4, 3 pointing up into the inequivalence. We'd have 1, 2 pointing down and 5, 4 pointing down. And 3, 1 over on the left. And then 2, 5, I guess. I think that works, actually. Did I check? Is this the one that I disproved? I can't even remember anymore. 2, 1 pointing down. 2, 5 pointing down. I'm just going to try this. I think this maybe doesn't work, but I can't remember if I tried it or not. 2, 1, 2, 5. Let's see. Oh, no, this doesn't work because then we don't have a 2. Yeah, okay, that's actually very straightforward. That doesn't work because then that takes up the 2 that we need to go down here. Right. So that doesn't work. We cannot do that. Can we have... I'm trying to think if there are other cases of 2 vertical dominoes coming out of the equivalence. That's what I'm trying to remind myself if I've actually sufficiently thought about or not. Could they be 4s? No. So they can't be 2s pointing down. They can't be 4s pointing down. Could they be 5s pointing down? No. They can't be that. Could they be 3s pointing down? No, they can't be that. They can't be 1s. Okay, so I think they do. I don't think we can have anything pointing down, so I think we need double 4 up there. We still have 2, 4 options over here. And then we don't have a 1, 5, so we need a 1 pointing down. We still have 2 options for that. We don't have 5, 3, so the 5 points down as well. We also have 2 options for that. And then the 3 must point into the less than 4, and there's only 1 option for that. Okay, they've finally made a little bit of progress there, which means there's only one option for the 1. Okay, I should have gone down this path earlier. And then we have a 2 pointing up. There's only one option for that. We have 4 pointing up. Oh no, we only have one option for the 5 pointing down, which means we now only have one option for the 4 pointing up. And there we go. Okay, that took me much too long. Sorry about that. I didn't feel as stumped as I have on some of the previous days. I didn't really go down any terrible dead ends. I just kind of forgot how I was keeping things in my head. Again, I think the way that I think about these, it would be very helpful for me if I could rearrange the pips and then be thinking about them, I don't know, in a more sort of spatially organized way. I don't have a great memory for just sort of this stuff keeping totally abstractly in my mind. Anyway, there we go. Those were the pips. Made through it one way or another. Back tomorrow. Bye for now.